Hey everybody, this is Nick Mayhew, three-time gold medalist and three-time world record holder, and you're listening to Power 98.5.
We don't play the social game. We are social. Power 98.5.
Hi, this is Dan Aykroyd. He's progressive. He's beautiful. He's thoughtful. He's intelligent. He's powerful. He's positive. He is Steven Cuoco on Power 98.5 satellite radio.
Empowering listeners from the US to the UK. Live on air with Steven Cuoco.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We are live on air with Steven Cuoco on Power 98.5 satellite radio. It's a beautiful day here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Strip is getting busy. I know my team out there in Manchester, UK, they're having a great time. My family back there in New York, New Jersey. You know, what more can I say? But, you know, we've been getting a lot of good feedback on this one. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. We've got David Lautman. And I'm going to tell you, it is with great honor we are going to have David Lautman here with us, talking about all of the great things about David Lautman. He is a spokesperson for Cargaroos. He plays, which, I mean, my good friend Johnny Wachter, boy, did he piss him off in that one scene. We're going to find out all about his character on ABC's General Hospital, Grant Smoltz. And David, what on earth were you thinking to upset our good friend, Mr. Johnny Wachter?
That's a great question. First, I just want to say thank you for having me. Also, I didn't know you have family in New York. My dad is from the East Coast, Boston. I lived in Mattapan, Dorchester, Revere. So, yeah, we got a little bit of East Coast in me. So that's cool. But, yeah, I think, that's not necessarily the smartest thing for Grant Smoltz to do, is to pick a fight with Brando. But kind of turned out okay with when he did that with Michael Corinthos. So, I mean, I think I've been asked, like, did he do that on purpose? Like, did he instigate a fight with Michael to kind of, like, see what would happen, sensationalize the story? And it's like, maybe, I can't say either way. But yeah, I think Brando, who I think, on Twitter, people have been talking about how he's got the potential to be an enforcer after that scene, right? Brando unleashed a little bit of, maybe some Marlon Brando. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it wasn't necessarily the smartest thing for him to do, but from a journalistic perspective and like from his business, totally good for his business. I mean, and people were asking also on Twitter, like, was Smoltz's recorder going through that whole conversation? Because if it was, that was a clear threat to his physical well-being. I mean, you couldn't get more clear than that Brando is just, wants nothing more to shut this guy up, and Will Scott had nothing to do it,
I want to thank everyone for tuning in with us here. We have got David Lautman. He plays Grant Smoltz on ABC's General Hospital. For those that are tuning in on the Power 98.5 satellite radio, iOS or Android app, I know our Alexa listeners are really picking up big time. And if you are not listening on the Alexa or the iOS or Android app, you do have the opportunity to go to power985.com. Remember, click that bottom tab, that bottom tick in the right-hand corner. You can send any comments, suggestions, whatever it is that you have, that's on your mind. If you have anything to say or to ask David, any of our future guests at all, or even to just engage with the team here at Power 98.5 Satellite Radio, you are more than welcome to. So, David, for those who may or may not be watching ABC's General Hospital, can you tell us who is Grant Smoltz and why is he stirring us up such drama? Like, is it really that necessary?
Absolutely. Well, Grant Smoltz, it is necessary. Yeah. Grant Smoltz, he's a smarmy journalist, and he's a freelancer for Alexis Davis at the Innovator. And as far as stirring up drama and getting people to react and and do things that maybe they wouldn't otherwise do. Yeah, that's his job, man. Grant comes from a tabloid journalism background. He's used to like reporting on celebrity sex scandals and all sorts of stuff. So this is what he does. He's kind of like a TMZ reporter mixed with like, I don't know, just like the biggest smart douche canoe that you could find, and yeah, I think it helps him, right? I mean, the trouble is right now, Alexis Davis is trying to turn things around on the show for the Invader. She's trying to paint the Invader in a new light, right? Like make it, a respectable magazine, something like the Atlantic, right? And Grant can do that. He has the skills. He's actually a good writer. And in one of the episodes, he tells Alexis, like, hey, you never gave me the chance. I can be sensitive and but and current, but you never gave me the chance, and it's like so that's kind of the struggle right now, is that Grant kind of has his instinct is to stir up drama because that's what the tabloid journalism world loves, but that's not what Alexis Davis wants.
No.
So that's
No, go ahead, David. What was that?
Oh, no. So that's like a little summary about who he is, I think.
Now, are you ever going to add a little bit of comedy into Smoltz, or do you have any wiggle room whatsoever? And the reason why I'm asking that is because what I really find impressive and I love is your TikTok. You have a comedic side to you. Will we ever see this on television? Do you have any upcoming roles? Where can we get more of you in that area of comedy?
That's an interesting question. So part of why I think that's interesting is because I've seen on social media people have reacted. Like, it was actually somebody took a video of that scene with me and Brando, right? And then at the end, after Brando, like threatens Smoltz and he walks off, their reaction was just laughter. and I retweeted that saying like, oh my God, I love your laugh, because it was a really sweet laugh and everything. And so I think what's interesting is that this character does have, like, even though you hate him, like, there's something slightly comedic about him. And I think that's because I am kind of aware that, I mean, for example, in that scene, Johnny Wachter, a fabulous guy. I love the dude. He was standing inches away from my face, and my comedic brain was saying, okay, you got to make a joke about, like, bro, if you were standing any closer, we'd be practically making out. Just something. But then you kind of have to realize, like, that's not the type of show we're on. Like, that would just derail his, daytime Emmy Award winning speech, right? So, and it's like, that's the last thing I would want to do. But I think viewers maybe can see that. They can see that, like, I have this comedic side to me, and I think it comes out in certain unexpected ways, which is why that girl laughed at the end of the scene, But then I guess to answer your question about, like, what other stuff can you see where I am using my comedy, and I would say commercials. I'm really extremely blessed and lucky to be working pretty regularly in the commercial industry. And I've got a bunch of spots, national spots that are out. And I got to say, the majority of them are comedy. The majority of them have me doing improv, creating jokes on the fly. So I would honestly say the commercial stuff. That's probably the best bet. You were talking about Car Gurus. There was a lot of improv for those spots. We shot, that campaign started about we started filming initially 2 years ago. And we shot, about 30 spots. And all of them had the flexibility of me bringing my comedic sensibilities to the role. But I want to get back to Johnny Wachter for just a second.
Go ahead.
Because he's such a cool dude. And that scene, like you said, has been I don't know, I guess it's been impactful for some people. And I think part of it is because people are saying that it's the first time that Brando Corbin has really shown his side again of being the Brando Corbin that was initially shown on the show when he first appeared. Because ever since then, he's been kind of this lovey-dovey character with his girl, Sasha, right? And I think fans of the show are really enjoying, and they want to see more of that because Johnny really brought it to the table. And a little behind the scenes on that, like on the day, something that I told Johnny before we went is I told him like, hey bro, like I really want you to come after me on this. Like I'm gonna be okay. Like I got your back. You know, just do it. Just go for it. I got to tell you, we actually, okay, so normally on the show, you really get one take. But we actually did a few takes, and the reason why is because, you know, I don't know which take ended up in the final cut. It might even be a blend of a few, but that first take, man, when he came after me, it was, it was really scary because what happened was like he literally grabbed me by the shirt, by the collar. He brought me in close, and Michael Corinthos, Chad is supposed to block him and stop him. And what ended up happening was Brando grabbed him with so much force, and he pulled me in. And Michael, I think maybe a second later, he grabbed me. And then what happened was we actually all tumbled, or I tumbled to the floor. And I continued the scene, right? With like, I still had dialogue to do. And I used that. And I was like, oh, my actor brain was like, oh, this is freaking amazing. Like, and I just kept on going with the scene, right? And I used that. Like, so now I'm kind of like I fell on the floor and I stand back up and I'm like, almost like, it seems like, oh my God, is he about to cry? Like, what's going on? And then they actually yelled cut. And the reason why was because they were worried that I may have been hurt, which I was not. I was not. In fact, I took judo for a few years back at the Japanese, the San Fernando Valley Japanese Community Center. And by the way, a quick shout out for them. It was one of the most affordable judo classes you could ever take. It was something like maybe like $20 a month or something. Anyways, not to get too much into the weeds. I know how to fall, and I was perfectly fine. But yeah, that moment's like it's kind of no surprise that people are kind of having some kind of visceral reaction to that scene because Johnny really went for it, and I commend him for that. You know, it was awesome, and you know, I got to say also, since we mentioned that I did fall on the floor, after that happened, everybody on the set, from like the producers, everybody came by to check in on me, and nobody checked in on me more than Johnny. Johnny was the sweetest dude. Like even afterwards, you know, we were like walking through the halls, like the sound stage is like, you know, on the ground floor, and then below that is where all the dressing rooms are. So in the hallways, you know, we would bump into each other and stuff. And in fact, every time since, like, he's just been so sweet and just checking in on me and just so apologetic about it. I'm like, bro, like, I'm good. Like, in fact, thank you, man. I had so much fun in that scene, and that's because he really went for it. And because that's the thing is, you know, sometimes on shows like this, you don't have the opportunity to really, with one take, it's kind of like, okay, well, you know, as long as there isn't a mistake, they're going to move on. So which means that as an actor, you don't necessarily have the opportunity to really dig into the scene and really find like the meat of it. And it's like, you kind of have to find it on the first time. And I felt like that's what happened right there. It's like from the get-go, Johnny just came in with some ferocity. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I was coming after his girl, you know? So it's like, I think on a certain extent, it's that manly instinct coming in to protect his woman, you know? And yeah, it just felt like I was, you know, being, the jaws of death were holding me, you know?
And for the record, Johnny Wachter, who does play Brando on ABC's General Hospital, he is not a bully in real life or at all. What was amazing is when I watched a scene with you and Johnny, is you two were so very, and I believe you used the word, but I'm going to add, it was very visceral. And it was like watching a character, not Johnny himself, but the character that's on General Hospital, wondering, was he a bully in school? Because your reaction within that, I felt compassion for you. I felt as like, ooh, you know, the way the scene played out, it was almost like, you know, Smoltz somebody that maybe was bullied in school? Was he somebody that maybe wasn't the most popular? These are all little things that were going on in my head, because just the way the interaction happened, it was palpitating. I didn't see it as acting. I mean, he was doing his thing, which is great. You were doing your thing, and just the way it rolled out, David, it brought back also some high school memories. And I really felt not sorry, but just compassionate for you. My heart opened up for you in that scene, because I didn't see you as the character that Smoltz is known to be. I didn't see you in that moment in that way. I saw somebody very different, somebody very vulnerable. I saw you being very transparent, relinquishing your power or sense of control in that moment to reflect and regroup yourself and to regain your foundation. So both of you work extremely well together. So whether it be General Hospital or other productions, I believe even in a comedy aspect, or maybe something, a film or a show with The Rock or somebody, moving forward, you and Johnny are a very good pair.
Thank you. I want to quickly just say that, you showing that side of yourself to kind of open up and be like that, you felt compassionate to Smoltz. I want to commend you on that, because number one, that shows you're a human being, and it's like, and the thing is, on social media, there is a lot of hate towards Smoltz, right? Like, people want him murdered, they want him gone, because he is just, he's just causing trouble for these characters that everybody adores and loves, and they don't want to see that. They want to see their characters being happy and not necessarily feeling miserable, because when they connect with their characters, I'm assuming, like, as a super fan, you're going to, like, if they're having a great day on General Hospital, you're going to have a great day too. And who's this Grant Smoltz douche canoe coming in and taking victims out? So yeah, that it's really cool to see that there is some compassion for him, and I commend you on that. And it'd be interesting to see if other people felt that way too. And additionally, you were talking about seeing that potentially it looks like maybe Grant had a past of being bullied, and it's crazy. Like, I don't know how you picked that up, but that was part of my character's backstory. It was like part of why he has got a chip on his shoulder, is because, and typically actors, like, we don't really like go into our backstory, but you're kind of like, you kind of saw it. So I'm gonna confirm that the backstory that I created in my head was that yeah, in high school, and even a certain extent in college, but not as much. Mostly in high school, Grant was really bullied a lot by all sorts of people, by the jocks, by the cool people, and that's why he really dug his heels into journalism, right, into those like English lit type classes. And when he finally, had a career to focus on, all that angst built up. Like, he's got something to prove. He wants to prove all those bullies wrong. So in that moment, when Brando comes after him, it's like he is going. It literally transports him right back to high school. And yeah, I think what you're seeing is just that. So yeah, and the thing is, I listened to a little bit of Johnny's interview when he was on your show, and it's interesting because we are kind of similar, and maybe perhaps why we're an interesting pair is that we both kind of have a similar preparation style. He says he's a man of, and yeah, he's definitely a man. I saw those cowboy shots, like he was literally riding a bull the other day, and I'm like, holy shit, I could never ride a bull, because I would definitely break a bone or something, or a ligament. I don't know how he's doing this, but it was super cool. Like, everything he posts is super cool. But yeah, his preparation style is imagination, right? It's creating that rich backstory through imagination, and that's the same thing I do. I know occasionally, and he said this as well, you can use real stuff from your life. But yeah, I'm more of I guess I go more towards the imagination as well. But yeah, so thank you for being able to connect with Grant on some level, and just acknowledge the fact, like, hey, maybe you see a little bit of yourself, and that's what I hope, is that viewers can connect. And even though you may hate him, you can still like feel compassionate and bad and like in that situation, because if you're a human, you don't want to see other people get hurt. And Brando is coming in, and he's threatening to literally murder this man. So yeah, so thank you.
You're very welcome. And honestly, that is how I still feel, and what I believe is to eventually, if you are able to or desire to, you had posted on Twitter, yo, somebody give this man a daytime Emmy nom already. Brando put the fear of God into Smoltz. Am I right, Twitter? Rick replied by saying, you're a good actor as well. The fear you had in your eyes was amazing. Keep it up. And there is more to you, David. And I'm going to say you are eligible, highly eligible, and deserving of a daytime Emmy, because there are layers to you that people who may or may not know you or know of you and your set skills, whether it's comedy or playing the villain, whatever it may be. Like you said with Grant, you brought something. You knew that I was able to tap into, in a deeper way, into Grant that maybe most don't, okay? Maybe they just glaze over the surface of the identity and character of who he is. But you are bringing yourself. Actors bring a sense of experience, a sense of self and identity, or if they've never had that experience, you search within yourself as a professional, how would I handle this? What would this mean to me? How would I potentially react in the real world? And like I said, for what it's worth, I saw you. And I saw who you are in Grant. And this role is much more powerful. And I hope ABC gives you permission and allows you to unfold the narrative in the context of Grant Smoltz more than maybe what the writers are doing. Because I know you have it in you, and I'm putting it on record and I'm putting it out there. You have the ability to build out this role more than I think the writers can possibly imagine.
Oh, wow. Well, that is quite a compliment. I appreciate that. And, going back to that tweet about Johnny, I meant that. I really felt that way. And clearly, people on social media did too. I think at the end of the tweet, I said something about like, am I right, Twitter? And I got to say, like, to date, that tweet has got the most engagement of any tweet I've ever done. Something like hundreds of likes, retweets, or favorites, retweets, quote tweets and stuff. And what's also interesting is that I think somebody was responding to that, and then they gave me a warning. They gave Grant a warning, like, hey man, you got to be careful. You've been coming after like all these different characters that are connected to Sonny Corinthos, and then they tagged Maurice in it. And then Maurice retweeted that, and I'm like, oh no, like I'm really on his radar now. So yeah, Grant's shaking in his boots. David Lautman is shaking in his boots. Yeah, but yeah, I also think what you said about the layers is a really interesting point, because I think also a lesson just for aspiring actors that may be listening. And the reason why is because I say that is because, to be honest, when Grant Smoltz, when that character first came to me through my manager as an audition, that was a one-day. That was supposed to be a one-day story, right? And the thing is, as an actor, you have the opportunity to prepare as much or as little as you want. And that's something that I noticed more specifically with theatrical tapes. If you live or die by that first tape, generally you walk into a studio, and I know everything is self-tapes now, for the most part, but it used to be a time where, like, for every theatrical role, you're pretty much going in, and you generally will get one take, which is very similar to that on-set experience when you're filming, specifically a soap. But you live or die by that take, and it's like the more you prepare, the more kind of backstory and preparation you put into such a small character. Number one, the bigger shot you have at booking it. But I think more importantly, it's like the impression and the relationships you build with casting, because they see like, oh wow, that was just like a couple line part, and he really did the prep. Because what you got to realize is the casting directors, guys like Mark Teschner, and even Lisa, who works there as well, Lisa Booth. And by the way, they're both amazing people. They see hundreds of tapes, and it's like they can instantly tell when an actor has gone the extra mile to give the character some justice. Because I mean, if you think about it this way, our lives, our visit on Earth is temporary, right? We're just here for 75, 85, 95 years if we're lucky, right? Well, film is forever. What we're creating is going to last for eternity. So at least give the character the justice that they deserve by creating some kind of rich backstory. Yeah, maybe you're just saying one line, but just give it the honor that it deserves. So that's my approach for preparation for every type of role. And I think that's potentially why people might see there are layers to Smoltz. And that's why I appreciate you saying that you could see ABC giving me permission potentially to do more with the character. And I would love it. That would be super fun. Either way, if that happens, that'd be super cool. If it doesn't, hey, at least I'm so grateful for what I've been able to do so far on the show. I've been having such a blast being able to interact with so many different characters that have been on the show for years. Alexis Davis, Nina, what's her name? Oh my God, I'm blanking. Okay, Nancy Lee Graham. Sorry, I had a little mind fart for a second. She's been on the show for years. And Cynthia Watros. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Cynthia Watros, Nina Reeves, all these characters. I've been having just an absolute blast bouncing off of and getting them to react, right? Screwing with them and having fun with them, having Nancy trust me and then breaking that trust and all this stuff it's just so juicy. And it's been so much fun.
What would really also make sense, David, is Grant has the ability not only to be a villain, but you as an experienced, talented actor, Grant, he has the ability to become a hero. And that would really blow the minds. And we know that this can happen in film and television. The hero can become a villain. The villain can become the hero. But you have the way of being both. And I believe with that type of continuity and strategic way of just unfolding unexpectedly, because there has not been a climax to Grant, nowhere near him being able to really show his true colors and his true strength and what he can do. As once again, he's in fight or flight defensive mode. Who knows what he's protecting or who he's protecting from his past that has made him to be who he is. So you do have the opportunity to be one of the biggest stars on the show. And Grant Smoltz has the opportunity to be one of the best and only villains and hero on the show in his own way, in Smoltz's own way. So we're going to play that clip right now.
If it isn't the husband of the face of deception. My sources tell me your wife ran down a pedestrian tonight. Any comment?
Who the hell are you? Look, Smoltz, this is not a good time. You know this creep?
This creep happens to be doing Mr. Corinthos a favor.
Yes, Mr. Smoltz is a reporter, and yes, Will and I are cooperating with him on a feature.
But I'm always on the lookout for the next great story. Now, Mr. Gilmore.
It's Corbin.
Sure. About this pedestrian getting run down.
No comment.
Suit yourself. It's better if I get a quote directly from Sasha Gilmore herself, or what did my source call her? Oh, yeah. The face of collision?
You stay away from my wife.
Hey, I have rights under the First Amendment, buddy.
Mr. Smoltz, is it?
Yeah.
I fought for the U.S. military to protect your rights, so I'm well aware of what they are. Now, the First Amendment, that only protects you from government censorship. Michael, you run a media company. Do I have that right? You sure do. That's what I thought. So, Mr. Smoltz.
Yeah.
Tell me, do I look like the government? Simple question.
No.
That's right. Which means the First Amendment won't protect you if I catch you so much as breathing the same air as my wife. I will personally make sure that you were incapable of writing any story ever again. I doubt the journalism world will miss you. Not that they'd be able to find you if they did. Understood?
Yeah.
That was good. That was really good.
Yeah. Amazing job, Brando. But yeah, I would say, you know, continuing what you were talking about, just the hero, the opportunity that you see Grant to potentially be a hero and a villain almost simultaneously. I mean, that's kind of like, I would that's a dream for an actor, right? That's like, I mean, when you say it, I think of Breaking Bad, right? You know, how he starts off as this beautiful dude, you know, like, and beautiful, like, from an inside perspective, like he's devoting himself to being like this chemistry teacher, and then he gets cancer, and then becomes he has to find a way to like make ends meet for his family, and then Jesse Pinkman introduces him to the dark side, which slowly deteriorates and creates this villain. You know, like he becomes Bryan Cranston morphs into this supervillain, and that's an actor's dream, a role like that. So yeah, I mean, specifically for me, I would say like generally when it comes to like TV stuff, you have the opportunity to play like these roles where it's like, okay, this like it's not necessarily the biggest arc, and then you have to find an arc within it for yourself to keep it interesting or whatnot. And I think so far for Grant, he's been in fight or flight. You're absolutely right, and those are your words, and it's true. You know, he hasn't necessarily had the opportunity to really show his true colors, and maybe, you know, show some of his past and see if that comes back to haunt him or whatnot. But yeah, I think it would be fascinating. You know, even if it's just on a fan fiction level, like from soap opera fans. I don't know if they have fan fiction sites where they create own alternate realities. Probably not, because there's so much content being produced every single day. You know, but who knows? Yeah, so I think that would be super cool, and yeah, that would be a dream. That'd be a total dream.
And I would like to say, love your photo of you wearing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt. You have such a beautiful, incredible spirit and light about you, David. Going to David Lautman, once again, those that are listening, tune in. We're going to be re-airing this episode tomorrow. We're going to do 2 p.m. So go to power985.com. Go look at the schedule. It will let you know whatever time zone you're in, what time it's going to be airing. But we're going to be putting this in. I believe it should be 2 p.m. Eastern, but don't hold me to it. Go to power985.com. Check the schedule for your time zone to see when this live episode will re-air again. All things incredible about David Lautman. Go to David, DavidLautman.com. Photos are incredible. Love, and it really is one of my favorite photos of you wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt. Why? Who gave you that shirt? How do you still have that shirt?
You know, that's so funny. I used to just be a huge a fan back in the day. You know, I mean, I love all sorts of animated shows, from Rick and Morty to oh man, okay, yeah, like Sims. I used to be into the Simpsons back in the day, Family Guy, just everything. And yeah, so I mean, I grew up with the Ninja Turtles. I think, you know, I was probably in diapers when I was wearing them. I was in diapers when I was watching them, rather. But yeah, are you a Ninja Turtle fan yourself?
I actually was a Ninja Turtle for my best friend's son's birthday, and I believe he was maybe 7 at the time or so. Yeah, so I wore the costume.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, and you know, I think you know, part of that is it's like, you know, it's good to have a range of photos as an actor. It's like, you know, you want to have like the safe shots where it's like, okay, you in a suit, you know, maybe a little bit more casual, and then it's like, feel free to let your freak flag fly, is what I say. It's like, if you are into comic books and superheroes and whatnot, you know, or maybe you're into soap operas, like, yeah, wear a soap opera t-shirt. in your headshot if that's your thing. You know, just let that freak flag fly. That's what I always say. Yeah, so I have no qualms about doing that. I think, and you know, because what I've realized is that over the years, you know, I think when you're first starting off, you're trying to figure out what do they want to see, right? What is casting, production? What do they want? And when you start kind of shifting the narrative to be like, well, what is a fun choice for me? What would get me excited to play this character? And it's like being true to yourself, like, you know, bringing yourself to the character. That's what ends up resonating most with not only with just production, but with audiences, because on a human level, we see so much content. You know, there's TikTok, Instagram, social media, all the streaming sites, broadcast television. We're seeing as humans, we're just consuming so much content that the second something is placed in front of us that we see, oh, this is authentic. Like they're being themselves. They're bringing this interesting dynamic, some sides of their character, personality, or you know, personal life to this audition. That's when, or to this material that we're digesting. That's when we connect with it and be like, oh, I know what that is. I can relate, right? But it's like when you're not being truthful about that and just trying to give them what you think they want, that's when things don't work out. So it's like, so yeah, that's why I got that Ninja Turtles shirt, because yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm okay embracing that, you know, warts and all, this is me.
It's been said, David, that you will be writing, producing, and directing in the near future. I will say to you that I would love for you, if no one else has the common sense to do it, and I am just very honest like that, if no one else has the common sense to write, produce, or direct a film, I can see you working with The Rock. I can see you doing another series being added to The Hangover. I can see you in a Sherlock Holmes movie, okay, with, you know, Downey Jr. You know, you can play any role. You fit perfectly to love, to adore, to I wouldn't say hate. I would say maybe be annoyed or angry with, you know, with, such as the character with Grant Smoltz. But once again, to break down the layers, you have a tremendously incredible future without limitations to work with all of the top best in Hollywood, but not because you're not the best. You're just as much as an equal, if not better, than most that have been doing it for years. Because we don't see, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to speak my own truth. I don't see many professionals like you that cross-pollinate in film and TV the way that you can. And I'm telling you, David, you've got it. You've got star power. You've got the blessings. You are very gifted. And I hope people in the industry continue to take you very seriously, and you continue to attract the right people who are going to give you permission and allow you to spread your wings beyond visibility.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And, you know, it's funny. It's funny that you say the taking me seriously thing, because it's like, it's, yeah, you know, that's wonderful and everything. And I can appreciate that. But what's also interesting is that I'm the type of guy that doesn't take myself seriously, you know, but I think what that means is that somebody like Grant Smoltz, he's a smarmy douche canoe, right? And I think in real life, I'm literally the opposite of it. Like, I don't mind falling on my face and, you know, or taking a joke at my own expense, you know? So it's like, but I think that's also what makes me potentially, you know, an actor that has that potential, right? Like what you were talking about. And even like from a film, TV producing standpoint, to do stuff in this industry. I think it's because having that humiliation or humility, all right? Mm-hmm. And I know, you know, I think that's, so back in the day, I used to, maybe like 10, 15 years ago, my brother and I, we actually got started in the commercial space. We were producing, directing commercials. And I got to say, I got an excellent training ground, because the thing is, when you're on set nowadays, and, you know, I have the opportunity to work a lot in the commercial space. And whenever I see other actors that maybe they have like a background in producing, directing, writing, it always seems like they're just a little bit more well-rounded, a little bit easier to work with. And that's what I realized also in my producing phase, like when I was producing and writing stuff, like those actors, what happens is they turn from just like an actor, which is a job, to then being a collaborator, right? And people want to be surrounded by other people that know how to make their job easier. And part of that comes with just understanding the pressures of production, of how difficult and how time sensitive and how many wheels go in, and like there's so many cogs in this like big machine of production. So if you have an understanding of that, you then have the ability to make that easier on your collaborators. So with me, and like one of my major goals is to be a series regular on some kind of streaming show or network show, whatnot. And I think having those tools only makes me a stronger collaborator. So yeah, and and then ultimately down the line, I could see myself definitely doing some kind of stuff. I would love to work with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Hello. Guys like that, anybody. Totally. I mean, he's literally probably the biggest star on the planet. I think my friends were talking about that, like globally, I think right now he is the biggest star. So yeah, yeah, come on over. Dwayne.
And seriously, I can see it. It is that real to me because of you. It makes sense. It really does make sense to work with someone of the caliber of who he is.
Thanks. Yeah, and part of it, you talk about the cross-pollination of like, being able to work in different elements of the industry, and specifically, when it comes to acting and like different types of roles. And I think that's what gets me the most excited, is to stretch myself as an actor. I was literally shooting something yesterday with one of my buddies, and he was talking about how it's not always easy to get actors to do stuff, and it's like he was saying like, why do you have to beg actors to act sometimes? And it's like, shouldn't you be wanting to do this? And I'm like, dude, absolutely. And it's like, when I have the opportunity to do it, I jump right in. And it's like, whatever type of role it is, like I literally I had the opportunity to be in a serious drama, Hunters, on Amazon Prime season 2. Mm-hmm. And in that, like, it's a complete shift from anything like Grant Smoltz or any like car guru stuff and fun comedy. Like, this was like serious drama, playing a Holocaust survivor. Actually, not a Holocaust survivor, but a Jew in hiding during the Holocaust. And this episode, I don't want to give too much away because it hasn't come out yet, but it's got a lot of vibes from Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards, with the scenes of like the Jews underneath the floorboards. That's all I'll really say, but complete shift. And I was nothing but excited to do that, and for multiple reasons. Like, also on a personal level, my dad was born in a displaced persons camp at the end of the Holocaust in Germany, and I've always felt growing up, because he kind of educated us with like all these documentaries, movies, and whatnot, and personal stories about how his family survived and how some of them didn't. He had a lot of family that were murdered by the Nazis. And growing up as a kid, it's tough as a kid growing up hearing all these stories about your people being murdered, right? And part of what I always felt growing up is like, I wish there was something I could do, and it's like, I feel stuck in I feel stuck today being like, well, it's almost ancient history. It's like 80 years ago almost, right? I think, don't quote me, I think 80. I'm not good at math, but yes. And, you just feel like it's so far away from you. And like, what if, you can only think, what if there was like a time machine that I could jump into? Like, what would I do? How would I save the Jews, right? And obviously that's not possible. But what was possible was me to step into this role where I had the responsibility of helping other Jews escape. And nothing was more gratifying than that. It was really badass. And yeah, on a personal level, I felt like I really had that opportunity, stepping into the shoes of this character who ends up sacrificing himself to let the other Jews escape. And to me, it gave me so much fulfillment, because finally I felt like, okay, I was able to do something about it. And part of why I say that is because the film sets, it was mind blowing how realistic, the attention to detail. On a show like that, they have the budget to make these sets look ultra realistic. And I got to tell you, man, the second I landed on that set, it was eerie. I was inside this little home. I was instantly transported to 1940, right, to this little German home, in a village, a countryside village, and I felt, I remember walking into the living room, and it's just like a regular living room, and then all of a sudden you look at the fireplace, and above the fireplace on the mantle is this framed photograph of Adolf Hitler. And for the first time, I like chills went down my spine, because number one, I don't think I've ever seen him in person like that, like a photograph like that. And number two, it was just so eerie because it felt like at any second, SS officers could be bursting through those doors or whatnot, right? And it's just a testament to the production value of a set like that. I remember the very first day I was driving onto the lot just for my COVID testing, and as I'm like getting waiting for the security booth to buzz me in, they have to check your ID, all that, make sure you're not like paparazzi, you're not like Grant Smoltz trying to sneak onto the lot or something. I get a story. As I'm waiting, I see just like a troop of SS officers walking by, and it just scared me to my core, And I'm not like a giant, scaredy pants type of guy, but it's seeing that in person, man. It's just something else. Like, like I said, the attention to detail, it's just, you feel instantly transported. And especially the fact that I grew up with these stories, from like personal stories from my family. And so yeah, I don't know how we got to that. I think it was about the cross-pollination, about like being able to fit yourself into other aspects of the acting industry. And I think that's what potentially makes you a more well-rounded performer. And and I thank you for acknowledging that, because I definitely feel that that's something that I attribute to the success that I've had. It's just the ability and the willingness to just try anything, even if it's like, I know that I have friends that sometimes go get roles and be like, why am I getting called in for this? This is not me. This is not my wheelhouse. Like, okay, but try. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? Is like, no. Like, it wasn't guaranteed to begin with, so you're fine.
Exactly. David, it has been an incredible honor. I am looking forward to having you back on again here on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio. You are more than welcome to contact me anytime. You've got my private personal number. Keep me posted. Keep me up to date on everything that's going on. You have my full permission, whether you want to talk about coffee, or you want to talk about Grant Smoltz, or you want to talk about an upcoming project, or anything that you may be involved with, writing, producing, or directing. Seriously, reach out. No questions asked. Who would you like to give a shout out to, David?
Yeah, I'd like to give, I would like to give a shout out to Frank Valentini, for trusting me with Grant. This guy, and if I was trying, there's one quick story that I'd like to say. I mean, Frank, first of all, he's like the most suave, effortlessly cool, and mysterious executive producer I've ever worked with. But it was something kind of funny happened where I was the day before I was shooting General Hospital, and the day before I was on another set, and I had some kind of allergic reaction to the makeup. They did like this special effects makeup on me. This was actually for the Joni Bernard Foundation. I was doing this really cool spot, and they had all this like dirt effects and stuff and stuff on me. And the next day, my skin was kind of a little irritated. So after I finished shooting the episode of General Hospital for the day, I went to the makeup room, right? And I was like, hey guys, it was actually the only person in the makeup room was the head makeup lady. And I was like, hey, I'm sorry. And she was in the middle of something, right? She was helping somebody, like giving a haircut or something. And I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. Do you guys have like any kind of hot towels or something? I was just kind of having this, and she's like, oh, I was getting this like nonverbal communication from her, like, not right now, buddy. Like, you can come back in a few minutes. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm kind of having this reaction. I'd like to. And then she kind of gives me this look, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh, hey, buddy, I'm so sorry. I know you're getting the haircut right here, but but quickly, can I just get this makeup off? You know, and then all of a sudden, I realized, like, holy crap, that's Frank Valentini. And he's just sitting there, and he's like trying to get this haircut, and I have just disturbed the flow and everything. And he was like, "Oh no, that's good. I'm just the creator of the show, is all. So yeah, what do you need?" You know, and that's not exactly what he said, but that was kind of the gist of it. And I'm like, "Bro, I am so sorry. I didn't realize who you were." But yeah, so that was like a fun little interaction with Frank. And I will say also, Frank, he came up to me after the other day after we shot. I think it was my scene with, actually it was before my scene with Cynthia Watros, when I literally kind of like almost break into her house. And he actually gave me the inside scoop, and I felt like, oh my God, I feel like that's when I felt most like Smokes, when I got the inside scoop from Frank. So that was really cool. You know, that was when Harmony got run over by Sasha. So I kind of had the inside scoop on it. I had to, and you know what? I got to say, ABC, if you're listening, that is a testament to my skills at not spilling the beans. So, you know, take that for what it's worth.
There you go. David, social media, where is the best place to connect to all things David Lautman? And it can be more than one. Is it TikTok? You seem to be doing very well on there. Instagram, I know you and I are connected. You're very proactive on there. Where would you like everyone to go to connect to you?
Yeah, I would say Instagram and Twitter would be the most, probably the easiest way to disconnect and stuff. And it's just at David Lautman, Lautman. That's probably the best way to connect. And, you know, if I'm allowed to, if I may have the pleasure, I would like to give one final shout out.
Go.
And that's to my buddy Dan White. And soap opera fans may remember him as Elijah Crow on General Hospital, who is the thorn in the side of Sonny Corinthos. Dan White and I, we go way back. We did college theater together. He actually had already graduated from Cal Arts when we started working together, but I was in the theater program at Los Angeles Valley College. We met on a show called Rabbit Hole by David Lindsay Abair, directed by Kathy Susan Piles. And after that show, we were like really connected. I played Jason Willett, who accidentally runs over his son in the show. So we had a strong connection right there afterwards. And so much so that when he did his next show, which was called Pulp Shakespeare, which was Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction as it's told by William Shakespeare, he brought me along. I still had to audition, but he put in a word for the director. And then we ended up doing that show all over from LA. We were in the Los Angeles Fringe Festival, went to the New York Fringe Festival afterwards. But the reason why I bring this up is because Dan White is awesome. And he was the first guy I called when I found out I got cast on General Hospital, because actually, if I remember correctly, he did something like 18 episodes. So I just wanted to get the lay of the land. Like, hey, bro, like what do I need to know? And he was awesome about like giving me tips and just letting me know what to expect, like how the show works. And it's like, for people that are interested, it's like, it's very similar to live theater. You know, it's like with theater, you rehearse, and then you get one shot really to do this. It's a live performance, mistakes, what have you, you continue. And it's the same thing with General Hospital. Is like, you know, you'll get a tech blocking rehearsal, not a tech, you'll get a blocking rehearsal with the director where it doesn't matter how many, you're going to run through all of your scenes. So you got to write down all your blocking notes, because that's the only time it's going to happen. And then the next time you get to rehearse is you get a quick blocking rehearsal for camera, which is almost like a stumble through, and then you shoot it. And it's like, they kind of, you know, what I quickly realized, and something that Dan was mentioning, is that you're either a cog in that machine or you're not. And it's like, so do your best to just fit in, and don't make them have to do more than one take because they've got a lot of material to produce every single day. So yeah. So thank you, Dan White. Huge shout out. Love you, bro. And and thanks for all the advice.
Thank you, David, for being with us today. You can hold the line. We're going to close out. Definitely have a chat with you before we go. I'm very excited about this, and even more excited to just let everyone know, if you're just joining us, if you caught us towards the tail end, we've got David Lautman. He is an incredible and most profound and genius of a person, of an who's an actor. He stars on ABC's General Hospital playing Grant Smoltz. He's also a spokesperson for Cargaroos. Check the schedule, power985.com. I believe that this will air 2 p.m. live Eastern time. However, depending on what time zone you're in, it's best to go to power985.com to see what
Power
time.
985. Sorry, I gotta. Every time you say Power 985, I want to interrupt, but I'm trying to be polite.
Do it.
I just love. I feel like I have to say that every time. Anyways, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, I don't mind. And thank you, David. Seriously, I may need to utilize that and have us record that or so, and be able to play that as a sweeper here on Power 98.5.
Right. Power 98.5. Tune in.
Always. Today and every day. And no excuses. You got Alexa. It's listened for free. You've got Alexa. You got the iOS or Android app. You can go to the website. It streams live on Stream It or Stream, MyTuner, Live Radio FM. And then the show, Live on Air with Steven Cuoco, has been picked up by Amazon. They reached out to me specifically, said, we've got to have your show on. I am keeping that email for proof. So it is available on Amazon Music, Amazon Audible. It is also Live on Air with Steven Cuoco is also available on Spotify, iHeartRadio. It is everywhere. There is no reason why you cannot connect, become part of the family. Let me know if you want to be a guest. Contact my team. You can go to or type in contact@power985.com. Shoot my team some information. If you got an upcoming MP3, music, video, whatever is happening, we would love to find out more about all the great talent that's out there in the world. David, how's the weather where you are? You ready to pump the day out?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to. Yeah, I wish I could just lay out by a pool, but I've actually got a bunch of auditions to pump out, even in person then. But yeah, man, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast. You are super cool, smart, very whip, tack, sharp, and this has been so much fun. And it's interesting because I had no idea what to expect exactly. I mean, I got a little bit of a brief when I listened to Johnny's episode, but yeah, still I had no idea what curveballs may be thrown my way, which is So I was really looking forward to it. Well,
I hope you didn't get any curveballs. I hope we hit home runs every single time.
Yeah, totally. And I don't know if we have time for one last thing, but that's actually. It's kind of interesting that we brought up the curveball and fastballs and all that kind of stuff, because I will say this is a little bit of General Hospital trivia, but Grant Smoltz, now Bill Ludell, who is one of the directors for General Hospital, he's directed many episodes. He actually told me that initially, people were asking, where does that name come from? Smoltz. Why? And people it's a fun name to mispronounce, get Schmaltz and all these different things, right? But the truth is, from what I understand, it was actually, the name is supposed to be comedic. It's like a joke, because Grant Smoltz is supposed to be an amazing pitcher, right? He comes in, he's able to pitch great stories. And that's why the name came from John Smoltz, who is a famous baseball player, pitcher. So that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true, because he didn't confirm it, but that's what Bill told me. So
thank you for that. Seriously. No, I'm glad to have that piece here on the show. So it's even more of an incentive for people to go and talk about, hey, David Lautman, he dropped a golden gem about, Grant Smoltz from ABC's General Hospital. You got to get to listen to that interview. Yeah.
Yep. I've got gems to drop. I've got more, but we'll wait for next time.
Thank you, David. Thank you to everyone for tuning in today. Live on Air with Steven Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio. Connect all things power985.com. We'll see you soon.
Empowering listeners from the US to the UK. Live on air with Steven Cuoco.
Friend us on your socials and let's connect.